And it's not the farmer's fault. They're efficient, they're working hard, they're growing what the market says they need to grow, and it's not working. And it's literally almost as though it were designed.
So what's going on in farm country today? China, which normally buys half of America's soybean crop, has not bought a bean. Corn prices are dragging below the cost of production. And wheat and hogs, the prices are also in the tank. Some are quietly, and others not so quietly, warning that we're staring down at another farm crisis, the likes of which Iowa saw last in the 1980s. To get a perspective, I turned to Sarah Vogel. She's an attorney, advocate, and author of The Farmer's Lawyer. As a young lawyer and single mother in the 1980s, she took on the U.S. federal government on behalf of 240,000 farmers facing foreclosure. Later, she made history as the first woman ever elected Commissioner of Agriculture in the United States, serving 2 terms in North Dakota. After 5 decades in the trenches fighting for farmers, she's seen and learned a lot.
I would say that I know about the 80s farm crisis, and I recognized it early because I knew a lot about the 30s farm crisis. I grew up in a political party called the Nonpartisan League. Nobody knows about it except a few of us from North Dakota, but it was an organization of farmers and the little people. And it got going in the teens, and it was basically trying to create a political system that was fair to farmers and workers. So during the 1930s, the North Dakota Nonpartisan League fashioned a whole host of programs and laws that helped farmers go through the 1930s. And I grew up hearing all these stories. And in college, I was writing about those things. So I was a little bit of a scholar on the Nonpartisan League. This is a paper I wrote in 1984, and it has 182 footnotes. This is my conclusion. The legal developments of the 1930s are no longer simply of academic or historic interest. The farm economy today shows several distressing parallels. Farmers are experiencing a negative cash flow. Land values are declining, delinquency rates are rising, and there are increasing numbers of foreclosure avoidance sales and transfers. I'm going to make a shameless plug for my book, The Farmer's Lawyer. It was published a couple of years back, in part because I wanted to sound the warning of what could happen. Many of the things we did in the 1980s, I think, should be implemented today. And it's nothing unique because we're copying what happened in the 30s. And we know what will happen. We know exactly what will happen. By the time 1983 rolled around, USDA was planning on foreclosing on 17,000 farmers. I mean, not to sound like a dark conspiracy theorist, but there are people who love the farmland as an investment. Historically, it's been, if the stock market crashes, farmland will hold its value. But there are people who will buy farmland. Scott Bessant, the Secretary of the Treasury, billionaire who lives in Manhattan, owns 5 farms that I know of. The billionaires, the corporations, they are looking to buy farmland, and farmers can't compete with that. And a distressed farmer will typically start selling off a quarter here, a quarter there. And historically, that would be picked up by the young neighbor. But now it's going to be picked up by the billionaire from LA or New York City.
So tell me, though, what are the similarities you're seeing right now from the 80s, the 30s?
Farmers can't make enough money from the crops and livestock that they sell, and land values are not in proportion to the income that farmers can earn. There's a lot of debt financing that's going on. The debt has been creeping up. There's a superb book written, it's like long out of print, but it was by Neil Harrell. And I think the title was something like Lessons from the 80s. And one of the things he pointed out was that this is a crisis that falls the hardest on younger and middle aged farmers. Farmers who are older, they are more often debt free or low debt. But it's the next generation of farmers that are at risk. And younger farmers find it almost impossible to begin because of the extreme high cost of inputs and the low value of what they can sell. The disparity between income coming into the farmers and expenses going out is a measurement of the stress. While farmers have been borrowing on the ever increasing value of their farmland for years, farmers have not been coming out in the black from planting corn, from planting soybeans. It costs more to plant them, harvest them, market them than they get from the market. So it's folded into debt. And once the lenders say this is no longer a good deal, wouldn't it be better if you just quit? What we need now is everybody, all hands on deck, governors, attorneys general, the legal profession, Main Street, and we need to stop some of these absolutely stupid things that Trump is doing that have destroyed the farmers market. It just breaks my heart because when I was 8 years as an ag commissioner, and farmers have spent so much time and effort traveling to countries, telling them we are a reliable source of high quality soybeans and high quality corn. I mean, if Trump took a wrecking ball and he just swung it around at random, he could not be more effective at destroying the work of decades, if not generations, of farmers throughout the United States of building markets. Yesterday, I had a major, hissy fit meltdown because I read the North Dakota Agriculture Commissioner, whose name is Doug Gehring, and he went into the legislature and he said, by the way, farmers aren't making any money and many of them are in deep trouble. And then he goes, that's it. Okay, all right. What are you going to do about it? What hell are you going to raise? What suggestions are you going to make? I mean, it's not the job of an ag commissioner to tell the legislature that times are terrible, times are tough. It's the job of an ag commissioner and basically everybody to say, you better do something. And you better do something now. And we have lessons that we've learned from the 30s, from the 80s on things that work.
Is there something to be said for the fact that the kind of system that we've developed that's really focused on a few commodity crops? I mean, I was looking at the numbers, and this year we had 93 million acres in the country in corn and 84 million acres in beans. The next largest crop is something like wheat at 45 million acres. So it's like half in a crop that we could actually eat. Is it time to really be looking at other policies about diversifying what we're growing and getting out of this complete dependency? If something happened, like a pandemic or tariffs, we could starve here in Iowa.
I agree 100%. There used to be much more crop rotation, but this continuous crop corn, continuous crop soybean, the people that benefit from that are major international corporations that sell the chemicals and that buy the corn and soybeans at lower than the cost of production. But I have seen that people who are deeply engaged and insistent on making changes can get changes done. And at Farm Aid, there is no shortage of hope for the future, no shortage of ideas on what to do. So there are solutions and there is hope. And the framework of how to build solutions is there. It just, more people need to be involved. And I think farmers are very, very, very good at educating politicians if they listen. The problem today, I think, is the politicians aren't showing up. They're not listening. So I don't know what it will take. sit-ins, picketing. All hell should break loose. I don't know if it was from the 30s, but I think the motto of one of the early farm advocate groups was we need to raise more hell and less corn.
You've been listening to At the Iowa Farm Table, a production of the Iowa Food System Coalition. Special thanks to Sarah Vogel.
Raise more hell and less corn.
I'm Beth Hoffman. Thanks for listening.